Hi everybody, welcome to a course for Scrum Masters, Agile coaches and product owners we've created here at Oikosofi to help you either if you're a product owner, improve your skills and get better at being a product owner, or if you're an Agile coach or a Scrum Master to be able to help the product owner so that the team can benefit from their skills and knowledge. Welcome to the course. My name is Vasco Duarte. And I'm also the host of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. Some of you might have heard me before. And the reason why I created this course is that we've all been there. I mean, I know, I've been there. I've been even the product owner sometimes. That sometimes the product owner is just new to the job and they really don't have a grasp of what Scrum is. They maybe even got to the training, but they haven't really practiced Scrum yet long enough to know how important their role is and also what it means to be a product owner. Now, let's be honest, sometimes product owners are also just overwhelmed with so many things, talking to stakeholders, talking to the team, writing the user stories, doing road mapping, writing reports for executives. There's a lot of work to do as a product owner. And also, the teams need us, Agile coaches and Scrum Masters, to help the PO. They need a PO that is really awesome at their job. And I've been there since 2004, and I don't mean that I've been there as a coach or a Scrum Master. I mean, I've been the PO with all of these problems before. Therefore, I understand how difficult it is to do a great job at being a product owner. So I've created this short video about the anti-patterns. So anti-patterns are a bit like smells. They are an indication that something might be off with the way we're working. Now, of course, not all smells are bad. There are some good smells, so we might also want to look for good patterns and reinforce those. That's a very important aspect to help the product owners focus on the things that are working well and not just focusing on the problem. Now, I've seen many of these anti-patterns before, as I said, and really the course is here to help avoid all of us to go through this collective Groundhog Day where we all repeat the same patterns over and over again. I've linked these anti-patterns to 7 key stages of product ownership, and these are not all linear. I mean, you could go through this in that order that is on the screen, but they are not all linear, so that's something we might want to look at. You know, at every stage of every sprint, we might ask, okay, so what's this, one of these 7 stages? What is the one that we need to focus on right now? And what does the anti-pattern we've smelled point to in working with the product owner and the stakeholders around? So the first one is the vision, creating a product vision so that we all know where we are aiming for. And there will be a pretty large module on how to create a product vision in the course that this is a video of, so that's something to look out for. Then the value equation, understanding the business value and the business model, not necessarily the business case. We're not talking about, telling someone that, this release is worth how many thousands of dollars. No, that's not the case. It's about understanding how our business produces value. What are the things that impact the value creation in our business? Then impact mapping, which is a tool that helps us really focus on the goals so that we help the team and the product owner understand the goals they want to reach and how they can work towards those goals. Then story mapping, a holistic mapping approach that helps you to understand the whole product, not just the one part you're working on, the user story or feature you're working on, but really how does it fit in the overall product. Then backlog management, one of the most important aspects of product ownership. How do we keep the backlog healthy, right? Sometimes backlogs grow out of control, and that's really not a good thing because it distracts us from the value creation we should be aiming for. And also teamwork. Teamwork is critical. Teamwork is what makes software development possible. So how do we help the product owner and the team work well together? How do we help the product owner and the stakeholders work well together? And finally, but definitely not the least, market validation. So developing product to a drawer or garbage can makes nobody happy. So how do we make sure that there is concrete market demand and value added with the product we are creating? So these are the 7 categories of anti-patterns that I've listed for this video. And here are some of the examples that we are going to go through. Now, let me be very clear that these are not the only anti-patterns. There will be more, and you are probably going to find situations where there's a mix of this. What I've done here is basically a categorization so that I can then give you a concrete, actionable set of questions that we can go to the product owners with and help them get better or understand the role that they are playing or collaborate better with team or stakeholders. So let's start with the first. So the first one is the fly-by product owner. This is a twist on the too busy to be available product owner. It's a product owner that comes in, drops an idea, and then just goes away, right? In here, what we want to do is to help the product owner focus on defining the goals with the team and stakeholders. Because if the cause is that they are doing this fly-by PO because they're busy, then we definitely want to focus on helping them to define the goals and allow the team to be more autonomous in how to reach the goals. If the cause is lack of interest, and this is a potential cause as well, they might be focused on another product if they are serving multiple products, or they have other things in their mind that occupy their time and their attention. We need to investigate why, and of course we also need to help the team be more autonomous. So this relates to vision, and I will share in a few minutes a set of questions that we can go through with the PO to understand what is the real cause for it and then what to do next. Then we have the anti-pattern of the blind PO. This is basically a PO that is flying without instruments, without value equation, without metrics. So the PO just focuses on more features. There will be a lot of me too statements. So competitor has this, we also need to have. Our customer told us this, we need to have this. So it's always about adding more and more and more, and this comes from not really understanding the impact of what we are doing, not being able to measure that impact. And if this is the case, you will probably see a lot of small features and stories in the backlog, things like moving a button here, changing the color, things like that. And this stuff is stuff that bores the team. I mean, teams are bored and they need to do it, but they have no pleasure delivering all of these pixel pushing tasks. So we want to help the product owner define product success and set up a product dashboard that will help them visualize and measure product success. And we'll go through a set of questions that we can help the product owner with so that he understands as well, or she understands how she can contribute to the whole process of product development in a way that is directed, measurable. We can see what we are doing and why we are doing it. Then there's also this anti-pattern, the lead PO. And let me explain this. This is potentially a team lead or a functional lead that is also doing the PO role, or a product manager. Let's not forget that product management is a wide role. Product owner does not cover everything in product management. It's an important aspect to refer to. And this is really about defining very clearly business success and not managing a team. So when we have this lead PO anti-pattern, somebody that comes in and tells people what to do and checks that they've done it, then what we have here is maybe a control, right? Like this focus on controlling rather than enabling the team. And here is where impact mapping as a strategy can work very well to help the product owner relinquish that control, delegate decisions, but still be very clear about what the business goals are and focusing on helping the team reach those goals. Then the next anti-pattern is this need for control. And this goes a bit further than the lead PO anti-pattern, because here's when the PO feels the need to write the stories, to be present when every story is written, to write all of the acceptance criteria. I mean, in some cases, the team isn't even allowed to create stories or come up with acceptance criteria themselves. They become kind of the bottleneck to the backlog. And here what we want to do is focus on enabling the collaboration and slowly helping the PO release control, do small things, but not, try to do all of the big changes we might want to do, but rather help the PO to slowly relinquish control, because control is not something you can take out of people, right? They they yearn for control because of something, because they are unsure, because they don't trust. And we need to build that trust incrementally. So there will be a set of questions for us to investigate that and help them with that. Then also the product owner as a shopping list manager, also known as the backlog secretary. And this relates to how we manage the backlog. So in this anti-pattern, the PO is basically a person who works on the backlog only. He collects demands from multiple stakeholders and just writes things in a backlog. And we call this the product backlog secretary anti-pattern also, because this is a role that is needed. I mean, somebody needs to do this, right? Somebody needs to collect data and put it in the backlog. Somebody needs to manage the size and the quality of the items in the backlog. But the thing is that the PO shouldn't be doing that most of their time. The PO should be focusing on business success, partnership with stakeholders, potentially with customers, getting customer feedback. And if they're not doing that, if they're only doing backlog secretary work, then obviously they're not adding value to the product development process. The next anti-pattern is the PO that is too busy. Now, we've talked about, what it looks like that the PO is too busy. But here in this anti-pattern, what I want to focus on is that the PO is not a single person role, is a single person responsibility. But the team must also be product owner. They need to be able to, add stories that they see, change acceptance criteria. Of course, with the PO reviewing that in the sprint review or before, if that's possible. But we want to focus, as Scrum Masters and Agile coaches, we want to focus on building the necessary collaboration cycles with the team so that the team can act autonomously. So we'll focus on what is the enablement factor for teamwork. We'll help the PO understand how they can help the team help him or her as well, because the PO in the end should be focusing on business success and get help from others to handle other aspects, like, for example, the previous anti-pattern, backlog secretary work. And finally, we have one of my favorites, the cowboy PO. This is a PO that will not involve stakeholders, will not ask the customer if the things delivered are really working. This is a PO that believes they know best and no one else knows better than they are. They are the lone wolf, the kimosabi of product ownership, and they just go out into the sunset every night feeling that they are the hero. But the problem is, of course, if you don't look at customer feedback, if you don't work with the team, if you don't work with the stakeholders, you're missing out on incredibly important information. So in this particular anti-pattern, what we focus on is helping the product owner understand that the collaboration with the stakeholders and the team will be an amplifier for their work. We will slowly work towards having the product owner create the aspects, the techniques, the approaches necessary to get the feedback from the market, to get feedback from stakeholders, to productively engage stakeholders, because not all stakeholder engagement is productive. Sometimes it just creates chaos. So we need to build the methods that allow that to happen, that productive engagement of the stakeholders, and of course also how to build trust. Now, how do we tackle this anti-pattern, right? That's the next question. All of these stages of product ownership are important. We need to look at where we are and where the product owner is and help them to go through this and improve their skills and knowledge in these different areas. Perhaps we want to focus on one first and then go on to the next, not necessarily try everything at the same time, but we definitely want to help the product owners concretely. And sometimes I have been the product owner in this stage, and I learned that telling people what to do does not work, right? The product owner needs to figure out for him or herself what needs to be done for the collaboration, for the market validation, for the vision setting to work. Now, of course, as Scrum Masters and Agile coaches, we can help a lot, and we can help speed up the process immensely by asking, of course, coaching questions. I mean, don't forget, the quality of our life is directly proportional to the quality of the questions we ask. And the POs need leverage. They have a lot of work to do. And in order to be able to focus on the success of the product, they need to be able to leverage the knowledge, the skills, the understanding that is already in the organization. And of course, the teams need help from the product owner, and so do the stakeholders. So how do we get the POs to leverage the organization? By asking the right questions. So here's the coaching questions that we can ask when we are talking about vision. Now, I'll go through some of these questions. You will have, as a handout for this video, you will have all of the lists of questions that I suggest. So I'll take one for each of the stages as we go through each of the 7 stages. Now, when we talk about vision, setting the direction, we can start by setting the goal, the perfect scenario in the product owner's mind by asking, if you were able to easily and successfully communicate the direction of the product, how would that help you, right? We can do that. We can ask that question and really focus on helping the product owner to understand what a better world would look like. And then we can ask something like, what is preventing you from getting the team and the stakeholders to understand the goal you have for the product and the business? Because very often product owners will have that goal. They will have that direction, but will not know how to communicate it. Now, on the value equation side, we ask different sets of questions. So we might ask, for example, hey, how could we quantify the success of the product? Then we could also ask a much more practical question, something that goes down to the ground level and say, okay, so what needs to happen for our revenues, user numbers, conversion, or profit, whatever is the metric you're aiming for, to go up? How would you translate that to the set of factors that you and the team can affect? What are the factors we're working with? That's really what the value equation stage is about. In impact mapping, we are focusing on business goals and the strategies to reach those goals. So what we want to focus on, of course, is on defining the clear goal. So we might want to ask questions about the goal that we have, the one single most important goal that we have. And then we might ask something that, in the perfect world, what would those actors need to do to help us be successful? So the people around the product, the stakeholders, the team, customers, different types of customers, magazine reviewers, if your product is being reviewed by magazines or bloggers, right? Those are questions that are important for us to understand then what we could do to impact customer and product success. In the story mapping stage, we are focusing on going from vision, right, the overall direction, to a concrete set of tasks, user goals, and of course user stories, a backlog that we can give the team. So for example, let's assume that there is a vision, right? And we list the names of the customers in that vision. We might ask, from the vision, we know that Albert and Jane, whoever they might be, our focus customers, need an end-to-end solution. Do you have, dear product owner, documented somewhere the definition of that end-to-end journey for Jane and Albert? Because the lack of that end-to-end journey creates a lot of problems in terms of coordination between the different team members, decision making, right? If you don't have the end-to-end journey for the customer, it's very hard to make decisions about what is more important, because everything is important. Then something else that we might ask is, if we have that end-to-end journey documented, how might that help the team unload some of your tasks? Create the idea in their mind that if we have the end-to-end journey, we can delegate more. We can have the team produce more and even come up with better ideas than we could on our own, or at least we could collaboratively create those ideas. Then the next stage is backlog management. And here we want to make sure the product owners understand that this is a concrete problem. So we might ask questions like, how much of your time is used managing the backlog versus working with the stakeholders, existing customers, and the team? Because the real value that the product owners add is in creating a collaborative environment in the product development phase. Another question might be, how much of your time do you think should be spent in individual work, your individual work, product owner, like managing the backlog, versus collecting input and insights from stakeholders, customers, and team? And then you can compare that to the result of the previous question, and you can actually ask, okay, are we where we should be, right? So that's something we need to think about. And although, of course, not all of our time as product owners should be used to just work with stakeholders and customers, definitely a significant percentage of our time needs to go to that work, because that's what gives us the direction, the validation that we need for the product. Then regarding teamwork, we might ask questions like, how do you feel about the collaboration with the team today? What kind of input, feedback, or knowledge do you expect the team to contribute in the future? Are they contributing that today? Then a very important question in my experience, like if you could, what kind of tasks do you do currently would you like to then pass on to the team, right? So this is about helping the product owner understand that they are not supposed to do everything. That comes also from the superhero product owner anti-pattern, but that they can work with the team to improve the effectiveness of their work. Then we have market validation. Last but not least, market validation. So we might ask questions like, how do you currently evaluate the success of your product in the market? How might we start collecting information related to the success of the product on a daily basis? And if that's not possible, then weekly or monthly. More than monthly, it's really not actionable. So we really want to go to the shorter timeframes. I mean, after all, one of the goals with Agile is to deliver value reliably and often. So we want to go to the shorter timeframes. Now, these questions help the product owners to imagine a different world and also to ask themselves, how am I working? How can I improve my work? And we want to help product owners with this specific problem of helping how they work to tackle these anti-patterns. But there will be 2 more videos. The next 2 videos we will cover what is the product owner role, how does it compare with traditional product management role. And this is important because many product owners might be coming from the product management role, and they might be stuck on that idea that their goal is to go out, get ideas, write a requirements document, and then pass that on to the team, and step back and wait for them to deliver, right? So this is just one example of the possible misunderstanding there could be. So we want to really focus on what are the differences, what are the similarities, and how can a product manager transition to become a product owner, which is a significantly different role. And then the last module of this video course, this mini video course, is the metrics that drive product success. And here we're going to focus on the key difference between vanity metrics and actionable metrics. So these 2 videos you will get, and every video has a bonus for you, right? So each video we explain the problem we're tackling, that we are trying to solve, maybe even some symptoms, and how to go about solving that problem in practice with a concrete set of tools. Because the goal of this course is to give you a set of tools. I mean, after all, I do host the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, right? That you can apply in your work and typically apply immediately after you watch the video. And as a bonus, every video will also have a PDF handout with more tips, self-study material, and of course a reminder of the key points of the video. Like for this video, you will get the handout that includes all of these slides and also all of the questions that you can ask the product owner to tackle each of those types of anti-patterns. Now, if you haven't signed up before, if you came to this video without signing up, then you can sign up below to get the next 2 videos. If you sign up already, you will get the next 2 videos in an email soon to your inbox. And of course, as you sign up, you will also get the PDF self-study material and be notified when the full course is released. And if you have questions, you can email me directly. I'm here to help. So just use the email on the screen and send me your questions. And in the end, of course, you can get the whole course. The free videos include the 3 videos that we've talked about, and you can go back and watch the videos again. We will also include how to define a product vision in the final course. But that's not all. We will also talk about how to define roadmaps that actually work, because sometimes roadmaps just lead to waterfall at the portfolio level. We'll explain that problem and then also give you a concrete tool that you can use to solve that problem. We will talk about quick prioritization techniques that take 2 minutes instead of 2 hours, right? This is incredibly important, especially when you have a backlog that is overgrown their usefulness, and we need to, strip down the backlog to a smaller set of stories. We will also have a module on how to size backlog items in a way that does not need estimation, and I'll explain that in much more detail. And the course also includes the No Estimates book. So if you buy the course, you will also get the No Estimates book, which explains this in a lot more detail than I can in a video course. And also this method that I'm going to share in that video actually drives collaboration. This is an important aspect. Everything in this course, you will see collaboration emerge as a repeated and recurrent word. So that's an important aspect. And we will also talk about how to quickly craft acceptance criteria. There will be a cheat sheet included. And the idea is that we want to help both the product owner and the team and the stakeholders to be able to create acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria are incredibly important in helping the team deliver on the value promise that they've made. So it's important that we help the team and the product owner to create acceptance criteria quickly. And the course will include a lot of bonus material for every module. Now, as I said, you can sign up below to get the next 2 videos, or you can also email me if you have questions already after this first video. Hey, it's been a pleasure. Welcome to the course. You got the first video, next 2 coming up, and if you're interested, you know where to find the full course. Just follow the link below. See you soon.